welcome to No Broken Legs. It is a Thanksgiving edition of the podcast, and joining me to talk all things NFL and this Thanksgiving weekend slate of games is Jimmy Champ. Jimmy, how are you on this Wednesday night?
Man, I'm good. I got a little bowling tournament I'm going to tonight, but right now I think 15% of my brain is already on sweet potato casserole and ham and turkey. So I'll do the best I can to refocus that to picks.
Good luck with the tournament tonight then, sir. But we got some NFL picks to get to. And our first game features an interesting matchup with the movable object we call the Browns defensive line and the stoppable force that is the Tampa Bay running game. Something has to give this weekend, Jimmy, as the Tampa Bay Buccaneers come to Cleveland. The Buccaneers are 3.5-point favorites. The over-under sits at 42.5, minus 162 for Tampa Bay, plus 148 for the Cleveland Browns. Everything in me tells me that Tampa Bay is going to kick the shit out of Cleveland, Jimmy. Am I wrong?
No, I mean, I don't. Why would we think this team's going to put up any level of resilience this week?
Or maybe that's strong. Like, I don't feel like Buffalo kicked the shit out of them last week, but I don't feel like that game was very competitive after the.
No, and Buffalo didn't even play well.
No,
Buffalo didn't play well.
Brissett had that fumbled snap with the center off the bench, and as soon as they fumbled it and Buffalo got the ball, it was like, oh, they're just going to march right down the field and score a touchdown, and this game's over. That was just how I felt, and that's exactly what happened because that's what we've seen this team do for a bunch of weeks now. And tough, smart, accountable is the slogan of this team, and it is in words only because Myles Garrett and other players on that defense continue to bitch and throw everybody under the bus. But they don't produce, Jimmy. And they had a timeout to go over what they were going to do. And they came out of a timeout and didn't cover Stephon Diggs. I'm guessing Joe Woods brought that up when they were talking on the sidelines. Like, I don't understand how that can be a coaching thing.
Yeah, no, I agree with you. I fully think, now I could understand if you fought. At this point, I don't see anybody getting fired before the end of the year because Deshaun Watson is going to come back, and it's going to change the whole outlook of the team. But
yeah, but I mean, how much better is he going to make him? Brissett's been playing out of his mind.
Well, do you want to do some Jacoby Brisett talk right now? Because I was going to go somewhere else, but we can do some Jacoby Brisett talk right now.
I mean, we can make it brief because he's turned the ball over in 9 of 10 games, and every time he turns it over, it seems to be a backbreaker. So that's kind of what I think of Jacoby Brisett. Other than those 9 huge mistakes, he's been playing out of his mind.
Yeah, but it doesn't matter. Playing out of your mind doesn't matter. I don't care what any Cleveland media member, anybody on 92.3, I don't care what Carmen thinks. I don't care what the Bull thinks. I don't care what any of them thinks. Can you tell me one drive this year where the Browns needed Jacoby Brisett to make a play and he did? One? Because
he's had a couple of scrambles, I think, that turned into points.
Yeah, probably when they were already down two touchdowns from the interception he threw. I get statistically Jacoby Brisett has been very, very good. At the end of quarters, at the end of halves, in any important drive the team has had that wasn't scripted, Jacoby Brisett has either thrown an interception, fumbled the football, or got a first down on a pass that should have been a touchdown to a wide-open wide receiver.
Even his numbers last week are grossly inflated. Buffalo was in control of that game, and they had eased up the dogs a little bit, and even with easing up the dogs, they were causing him problems. It just felt like the Browns got a lot of empty offense last week. It didn't really come when the game was in jeopardy, and that seems to be the problem that this team continues to have, is that when they have to come up with offense when the game's really on the line, they can't raise their game to that level. Which is something we've talked about a lot.
Right. And I know here in Cleveland, we have since the Browns came back, and there were probably guys like us in the Bernie era being like, God damn it, if they'd have played Mike Pagel, they'd have won that game. We have just habitually
that was the difference maker.
We've habitually been we love the backup, get the
Kelly
the
Holcomb.
lovable loser. Yeah, that's always been our thing. I am so tired of hearing people tell me the Browns would be no better with Deshaun Watson in these games than Jacoby Brisett. If you paid $290 million for a guy that's going to throw an interception in a critical moment of every single game, then, bro, you fucked up. Like, no, I completely disagree with everybody. Like, Jacoby Brissett has been serviceable. His stats have been good. But there have been key drives in every close game that if they didn't go 3 and out, or he didn't throw an interception, or he didn't fumble, or on 3rd and 10, they turned it into 4th and 2 instead of 4th and 8 for a more manageable field goal. Like, there is shit that happens in every game where if you had a franchise quarterback, you may have won the game. Like, please, like, I can't wait. I can't wait for the Jacoby Brissett experiment to be over.
He's gonna get a starting job somewhere next year, Jimmy.
No, he's not. No, he's not.
Yeah,
he is. No,
Jimmy, have you? Oh, this is a whole other sidetrack that we'll get to at some point. But the quarterback play in the NFL this year has been fucking abysmal. Like, Jacoby Brissett hasn't been great. He's just been okay, but okay this year makes you a top 10 quarterback.
The quarterback play in the NFL hasn't been any worse this year than it's been all of Jacoby Brissett's career when he couldn't get a starting job. Like,
no, I feel like we have a lot of teams, or maybe it's just the fact that Cleveland's not in that boat, so I'm not thinking of it as much. But it just seems like there's a lot of teams that have really, really bad quarterback situations.
Yeah, you're right, and maybe Jacoby Brissett can help
in some of that.
Right, maybe he can statistically be good on another team that goes 3-7 for 10 weeks. Like, good. Kudos for Jacoby Brissett.
Well, if Jacoby Brissett was quarterbacking the Denver Broncos, they'd have at least 3 more wins.
Would they, though? Can you just honestly say that?
Have you not watched any of Russell Wilson's fourth quarters? It's like he can't complete a pass. He's been terrible.
I have. They similarly look like Jacoby Brissett's fourth quarters.
Yeah,
every important
but when you have
Jacoby
Jacoby Brissett, you hand the ball off to your running back more, and you don't ask him to do anything, so he doesn't hurt you as much.
Well, that might be true. You might. Let me
rephrase that. Denver's a bad example because it's not like Hackett would do that. He'd find a way to fuck it up on his own.
I'm sorry. I'll get back on track. No, I completely agree with you. Everything going on within the Browns locker room, within the media, appears they have turned the script. Everybody's looking to audition to keep their jobs with Deshaun Watson for next year. So I think Tampa's a lock. I think Tampa probably hits the over by themselves. I think their offense will roll in this game. I think the Browns are going to just quietly lose this game and hopefully just destroy Houston. Cause
the whole fucking circus comes to town.
Yeah, the whole circus. The circus is on the way. The elephants are already packed in the trucks. Here it comes. So
wow.
No, I think you got to take Tampa in.
And this is what I think is going to happen. I think Tampa's going to I think they're going to find ways to run the ball effectively. They're probably going to run more than they normally do, but their offense works fundamentally better when it's just Tom Brady throwing short passes. And that's
true.
That's what this Browns defense should be able to slow down. Like, they're kind of built to face that because their biggest weakness in the interior of their defensive line isn't exploited with that. But Brady's not going to be facing any pressure from the middle of that defense, and he knows to step up on guys like Garrett and Clowney. And it's not like Garrett and Clowney are getting home as it is.
No,
and plus that Tampa Bay defense, man, they're good.
Yeah, the Tampa
they're
Bay
a good defense. So if the Browns, I think this winds up being a game where Tampa's usually up 2 scores.
Yeah,
I like that it's at 3.5 because I do think the Browns, the backdoor. That minimizes the backdoor cover potential. If this was like 6, then yeah, because I could totally see them being up 10 and giving up a cheap touchdown late.
Yeah.
But this takes that out. If they're up 10 and they give up a cheap touchdown, they're fine. You still get that 3.5. So that extra half point's big. Cleveland, 3.5-point home dogs. Whew.
For a team that statistically has like a top 10 offense and defense, like it's ridiculous. But yeah, I mean, I would look for Leonard Fournette to have a big day, or whoever Tampa wants to hand the ball to. I would look for that person to have a big day, and I would look for Tom Brady to just throw short slant after short slant right over the middle of the field.
Passes.
Yeah, it's probably going to be a long, ugly day for the Cleveland Browns.
48 of 65 for 280. All right, let's get into the Thanksgiving games. The first one we'll start with is the 12:30 affair. The Buffalo Bills are traveling to Detroit, back to Detroit, They are 9.5-point favorites. 54.5 is the over/under. Minus 420 for the Bills. Plus 350 for the Lions. Big home dogs have been on a roll this season, Jimmy. Do you think that trend continues with this game, or do you think Buffalo can really put a hurting on them?
No, I'm gonna take the Lions here because one thing the Lions won't do that the Browns did do was quit. Like, the Lions don't quit. They don't care. Down 3, down 30, the Lions are going to keep coming. They've been statistically much better at home than they've been on the road. The Bills still look shaky to me. They're not the team they were earlier in the year. The Browns had Josh Allen flummoxed for a little while. I think I like the over here, too. I think there'll be points scored, but I think Detroit's going to cover this.
I agree all around. I actually think Buffalo wins this fairly similarly to how they beat the Browns, which is why I like Detroit, because I think they end up winning this by about 7-ish.
Yeah.
I also like the over, and if you are maybe a little bit ahead and you're looking to take some shots, Jimmy, can I talk you into a 5-team money line parlay with
Hell yeah, you
the
can.
Buffalo Bills, the Dallas Cowboys, the Miami Dolphins, the Kansas City Chiefs, and the San Francisco 49ers?
Dallas scares me a little bit, but I'm in on the other 4. Yeah.
Well, why don't we just talk about Dallas right now, since we both like Buffalo to win but Detroit to cover, and we like the over. The Dallas Cowboys are hosting the New York Giants. Dallas is 9.5-point favorites. The over/under is 45.5, plus 360 for the Giants, minus 455 for Dallas. Actually, it's 10. I'm looking at my notes. I was just glancing at the actual screen. It's gone up 0.5 point to Dallas. Whew, that's a lot of points. Big NFC East divisional game here, Jimmy. Do you think the Cowboys can run away with this one?
I think the Cowboys, everything points to the Cowboys running away in this game, so I'm going to take the Giants.
That's almost entirely how I felt.
Like
the Cowboys lost to Green Bay, and then all of a sudden they blow out Minnesota. So you would agree with me if I said I think that game was more about Minnesota not being that good than Dallas being great.
Yeah. I mean, I was definitely drinking the Vikings Kool-Aid because they had looked cool, calm, and under pressure, and things going their way in close games. But if you never get it close, then that's going to happen. But like we said, if the Giants were a good thing, the one thing you couldn't do was lose to Detroit, and then they went and lost to Detroit. And I'm ready for their season to crumble, but I just think they can stay within 10 of Dallas. I don't know. I just have a feeling NFC East game on Thanksgiving, I think it's going to be probably something wonky happen. But, man, you might be able to talk me into the money line parlay, but I think the Giants are going to cover the spread.
I think the Giants cover the spread, but I think the Cowboys win. I think New York's going to keep this close. I think Brian Daboll's done a great job, and he's going to try and keep this game close and wait for something weird to happen. And it's the Giants and Mike McCarthy and Dak Prescott, and a lot of people will be watching this game with turkey in their hand, and I think something wonky is going to happen. So I think this stays close. I do still like the 5-team parlay because I think Dallas wins.
I like it. No, I think you can.
Are you? I like. Oh, go ahead.
The other 4 feel sure things, and I just worry because I really see the Giants putting forth a game plan of we're going to make Dak throw the ball 45 plus times to beat us, and I still don't know what that's going to look like. So,
yeah, I also like the under in this game.
Yeah, no, I definitely on the under on this one.
Well, we just mentioned the Minnesota Vikings, and Jimmy. This is a Thursday night game.
Why they got to do that to Kirk like that, man?
Minnesota 2.5-point favorites at home, hosting the New England Patriots. 42.5 is the over/under, plus 120 for the Pats, minus 136 for the Vikings. I saw this on the schedule, and just is what came into my mind. Kirk Cousins in a night game against Bill Belichick. I know the Patriots' offense looks absolutely atrocious, but New England's playing defense really well. Judon is quietly in a position where if he puts together, a good final 2 months of the season, he'll be right there in the Defensive Player of the Year talk. And I like New England here, Jimmy.
Yeah, I'm with you. I think, man, it would be hard to bet any money on Minnesota after what happened to them last week, especially knowing how Cousins plays in prime time, and you've got Belichick and that defense on the other side. Like, I don't think the Patriots are going to win because of their offense, but I think they'll do just enough to get the victory here.
Yeah, that offense is really struggling. Mac Jones has been really, really bad, and for all the flack that Baker Mayfield takes week in and week out, Mac Jones has been just as bad as Baker this year. Like, they've both been awful. And Speaking of Baker, he's back on the bench after another terrible outing. It just hasn't worked for him in Carolina like we thought. I mean, we didn't think they were going to be great. We thought they might sneak into the playoffs, but that whole team's just been a disaster this year. They're now turning back to Sam Darnold, which you never want to hear the words "turning back to Sam Darnold" if you're an NFL fan.
Well, I think part of the reason Baker was benched is the organization didn't want him to fuck up and win this game against Denver.
Denver's got a defense, man.
They do.
That Nick Wright stat that he had, that if Denver averaged, if they had just scored 18 points in every single game, they'd be like 6-3. That blew my mind.
Yeah.
Blew my mind.
But I think so. Yeah, I'm not. For me, this is a stay away. At this point, I wouldn't bet money on either of these teams, but I'll take Denver for the sake of fun.
I will say it looks like Carolina, if they can run the ball with Foreman, they can do things on offense. But it seems like this is a game where Denver's just going to cut that off and make Sam Darnold try to beat him. I don't want any part of. I don't want any part of putting money on Sam Darnold, so I'm going to take the opposite and might actually bet this game because Denver should win this game at least by a field goal.
They should. You're 100% right.
It doesn't mean they will. It just means they should.
But I don't think they'll have to get to 18 to win this one.
I agree. Because last week the Baltimore Ravens barely got to the teens, and they still wound up winning their game. They now follow up that pretty dismal offensive performance, traveling to Jacksonville to take on the Jaguars. They're 4-point favorites. 43.5 is the over-under, minus 205 for the Ravens, plus 172 for the Jaguars. The Jaguars, it just hasn't worked out for them this year, Jimmy. And on the other side, Baltimore's offense is really struggling, but they seem to be able to, they seem to be kind of finding their stride like Baltimore teams do. What do you expect here?
I'm taking Jacksonville here. I think this ends up being a field goal team. I'm still believing in Doug Peterson. I'm still believing in Trevor Lawrence and all the talent on that side of the ball. And I know it's only 4, but Baltimore doesn't seem to have any interest in holding leads on anybody. And I do think Jacksonville's offense can be quick strike at times when it's rolling. So I'm gonna take the Jags here to cover this one.
Yeah, I like the Jags. I like the under. I think Baltimore wins this by a field goal.
Yeah.
If they want to really compete, then Lamar needs to get his shit together.
Yep.
He needs to play better. That offense needs to play better. Because if they can consistently put 20 to 30 points on the board a week, and Lamar can be the Lamar we saw where he's ripping off 15 to 25-yard runs at will, this team's going to be probably the only team in the AFC besides the Bills that looks like they have the firepower to match what Kansas City can do. Well, I guess Miami too, but...
Yeah, but I still, man, the recipe seems the same, and it just seems like the ingredient that's missing for Lamar Jackson as a contract. He just doesn't seem to be playing that same reckless abandon that he's played, which we understand.
We've seen it affect guys before. It clearly affected what Baker did last year, because I think if he had been under contract, the organization and Baker himself would have been more ready to have him sit out instead of going out there with that shoulder.
Yep, I agree. So I still think Baltimore can make a little hay in the playoffs, but I don't know if they will have I don't know if Lamar will have the intensity to match Josh Allen and Patrick Mahomes in the playoffs.
Which is a shame because he's got the talent.
Yeah, I agree.
We just mentioned the Miami Dolphins. They're hosting the Houston Texans this weekend. They're 13.5-point favorites. This has moved a half point towards the Dolphins since earlier today. The over-under sits at 47, minus 700 on the Dolphins, plus 500 on the Texans. Houston stinks and Miami's good. I'm keeping this simple. Your boy Mills just isn't the guy. They're going to have a new head coach next year. They're going to have a new quarterback. I think Miami rolls, and I don't think they put up enough to get the over, though. So I like Miami with the points and the under.
Well, they're actually going with a new quarterback this week. All the reports out of Houston are Davis Mills is going to be benched for Kyle Allen, who might be a little upgrade, but I don't know if it'll be enough.
No, he's not an upgrade.
Yeah, yeah, probably not enough. Yeah, okay. Yeah, no, the Dolphins. If the Dolphins, who are we think they are, they should be able to win this game by 2 touchdowns. So 13.5 shouldn't be a problem. So I'll take the Dolphins as well.
Speaking of quarterbacks getting benched, a lot of that going around this week because Zach Wilson is being benched for Mike White. Justin Fields is probably not going to play. I don't know if he's officially been ruled out, but I would doubt he plays. I have no idea.
They're calling him limited active is what they're calling him.
Okay, if they put him in that game, that's malpractice. There's absolutely no reason for him to play, especially when he's injured.
I agree, but that doesn't mean they're not going to play him.
This was 4.5 this afternoon. The Jets are now favored by 6. The over-under is 38.5, plus 212 for the Bears, minus 250 for the Jets. That line tells me that everybody expects Justin Fields to not play. I'm somewhat disappointed Joe Flacco didn't get the call because I love betting against Joe Flacco, but I love it for this week because I'll take the Jets with the points, and I won't be making a bet, though, for this game because I don't want any part of this game.
Yeah, no, I agree. I think you got to stay away, but I'll also take the Jets, but hopefully, I think Zach Wilson is another one of these guys like Mac Jones who, maybe they'll have a Geno Smith moment later down the road, but man, you really see that difference in collegiate athletes that go to schools like The Ohio State University and go to schools like Alabama, where it really is a team atmosphere, because Garrett Wilson knew exactly what to say when asked about if they let the defense down, and poor Zach Wilson did not know what to say, man. That was heartbreaking to hear because it felt like the Jets had something rolling and they just had to do something to stop it, and Zach Wilson found the proper word to say to get it to stop. So, but yeah, I agree with you. I think probably after this week against the Bears, the season will probably come crashing down on the Jets.
Two teams that have been playing better of late are the Cincinnati Bengals and the Tennessee Titans. This week they match off in Tennessee. The Bengals, 2-point road favorites. The over-under sits at 42.5, minus 130 for the Bengals, plus 110 for the Titans. Well, we saw it last week, Jimmy. The better record team were home dogs, and we called it disrespectful. Do you feel the same way about this game as you did the Dallas-Minnesota game?
Yep.
Yeah, me too. I think Tennessee's a pretty good football team, and I think they're going to be able to run the ball on Cincinnati, and I think they're going to be able to play enough defense. I like the over in this game too.
Yeah, because we know, we pretty much know what we're going to get every week with Tennessee, and I know what this Cleveland Browns team is, so I just can't forget what the Bengals let the Cleveland Browns do to them 2 weeks ago.
I think Nick Wright's onto something with the really good pass rusher really seems to hurt them. Although they looked better as that game went on against the Steelers, and they really put together some nice drives late in the game. But that's a divisional game. You're used to seeing those teams. You know how to counter their counters.
It really helped in the second half. Pittsburgh had no offense.
Yeah,
so I think.
Well, we'll get to Pittsburgh here in a minute.
You're not going to get that with Tennessee. Derrick Henry's just going to keep coming, guys.
Yeah, and Tannehill will be able to make just enough plays. He's not going to do anything special, but it's not the playoffs yet, so he's not going to completely shit the bed.
Yep. Yeah, so please, Tennessee, to me, still feels undervalued, so hammer it, make your bet, win your bet.
Next up, we have the Washington Armada hosting the Atlanta Falcons. Washington 4.5-point favorites. Over-under sits at 41. Minus 200 on the Commanders. Plus 175 for the Falcons. I'm just going to keep doing it, Jimmy. I'm rolling with Heineke.
Yeah, no, it's the thing to do, bud. It's the right decision to make.
I'm taking the over, and it looks like the clock is striking midnight on the Falcons.
Yeah.
Just something to keep an eye on through the rest of the year. We see it all the time. These like mid-lean teams that we thought would be bad come out okay the first half of the season and then just fall apart. So I think they're a strong candidate for that.
Yeah, I don't think there's anything else to say. I think you covered it all there.
Well then, up next we have the LA Chargers. They are on the road to the Arizona Cardinals. They're 3-point favorites. Over-under sits at 48. Minus 165 for the Chargers, plus 138 for Arizona. This is the first afternoon game. Still no definitive word on Kyler Murray. Does that even affect your decision on this game, Jimmy?
No, because Cliff Kingsbury is one of the few coaches in the league I think Brandon Staley is better than. So I think the Chargers are a better team. I know it was a loss, but I think the way they played Kansas City's got to give them a boost for the rest of the season. I think they're going to go on a run here, so I love the Chargers to win this game by a couple.
Arizona got housed last week. That just not good. Their season's probably over with a loss here. That'd make them 4-8. I think the Chargers know they got to win this game. They're currently out of the wild card. They can't afford to lose any more ground. That would put them 2 back. That's just a lot of ground to cover with not that much time left. I do like the over. I think this one will probably be fun to watch. And as for the Cardinals, man, we'd be talking about them firing everybody if they hadn't just signed everyone to new extensions.
Yeah, well, I told you.
So I'm just going to sit back, grab some popcorn, and we can watch this all play out and send fun text messages to each other when it finally shakes out. Because even if they fire him, it's a disaster. If they keep him, it's a disaster. It's very Brownsian, Jimmy. Very Brownsian. Well done, Arizona.
Now, it could be just him having a little bit of fun the week of Thanksgiving because he seems to be that kind of guy, and he might have just wanted to grab his popcorn and see what would happen. But did you hear the Sean Payton reports?
I mean, I've been hearing Sean Payton to L.A. reports for like a month and a half.
The thing that came out today was these are the 2 teams he would consider coming back to coach.
Oh, then he's going to the Chargers because there's absolutely no reason to go with Arizona.
So, well, I don't disagree with you. But, I mean,
you're giving me the choice between Justin Herbert and Kyler Murray, and I love Kyler Murray's talent, but he doesn't seem like a guy that wants to work.
But I just thought it was funny that these 2 teams are playing each other, and then the leaked report comes out that these are the 2 teams Sean Payton would come back to coach. I thought that was funny.
That is pretty funny. Something else that's been pretty funny has been the Las Vegas Raiders this season. They have not been good. They are traveling to Seattle to take on the Seahawks. Hawks are 3.5-point favorites. Over-under sits at 47.5. Minus 188 Seattle, plus 160 for Vegas. Jimmy, Seattle is a tough, smart, well-coached team against the Raiders team that always looks like a mess. The only thing that gives me pause is that nice win they had not nice win. That win they had last week in overtime might give them a boost, but they beat a team that stinks. I think Seattle's going to be hungry for this game because they're going to have to keep pace with San Francisco. So I like Seattle in the under.
Yeah, no, I think you nailed it there. Seattle's getting a little. They're getting away a little bit from what they were doing earlier, but I think they'll get back on. I think playing Vegas can cure what your problems are.
Yeah, it's the cure for what ails you.
Yeah, so yeah, I think Seattle will be okay here. I mean, it's a Las Vegas Seattle game in Seattle, so something weird's gonna happen. I don't know, 100-yard pick six, something weird's gonna happen, but I think Seattle will get it done.
There are no ills for the Kansas City Chiefs at the moment.
No.
They are 8-2. This line has moved a full point towards the Chiefs. The Chiefs are now favored by 15.5 against the Rams. Over-under sits at 43. Money line is plus 800 for the Rams, minus 1,200 for the Chiefs. That's fantastic. Kansas City usually doesn't cover these big spreads. So I kind of like the Rams, and I think they were kind of doing some stuff on offense. So maybe they get a backdoor cover means they could be down 21 and get a touchdown. So I think Kansas City rolls. So do you think LA has the backdoor cover potential like I do?
No, I don't.
It's just a pure fucking blowout.
We got no Stafford, no Cup. Like it's going to be ugly for the Rams. Pour one out. They traded a hell of a lot of draft picks, but they got their Super Bowl.
Yeah, they got their Super Bowl, man. They keep saying the same thing about the Lakers, about, oh, man, that trade was so dumb. Like, no, they won a title.
So nothing you did was...
That's what you play for. You play to win the game, as our friend Herm Edwards would say. And when you get the title, you get the title.
So, but, I think if this line was 21.5, then I might take the Rams. But
Mahomes is going to have like 5 touchdowns in this game, isn't he?
With the way the Chiefs are clicking right now, I think they'll cover this.
All right.
I think they'll cover this without trying.
Yeah, I'm changing my pick then. I'm taking the Chiefs. I just changed my pick. I changed it. You've totally convinced me. I'm being overly cautious. You're right. They should just fucking take these guys behind the woodshed.
Yes, they should.
Another game that should be a pretty easy win for the home team is San Francisco hosting New Orleans. They are 9.5-point favorites. 43 is the over-under. Minus 420 for the Niners. Plus 345 for the Saints. San Francisco seems to be hitting their stride, Jimmy. I like them to roll in this one.
Yeah. Yeah, San Francisco is really good with limited quarterback play. New Orleans is really bad with no quarterback play. So I think we can probably make a lot of money on San Francisco until they come up against the team in the NFC with better quarterback play. Who that team is, I'm not really sure. I don't know. The 49ers might be going back to the Super Bowl. I don't know.
Yeah, that defense is playing so well right now. And if Garoppolo's not going to turn the ball over because he can just throw screen passes to the just seemingly endless number of weapons they have, and then just throw some passes over the middle to Kittle, that seems to be enough because they're rolling, man. They look really good.
Did you get a chance to watch much of that San Francisco-Arizona game?
No, I saw some clips, though.
So on the Kittle touchdown, so I felt I don't normally feel bad for guys that play for Cliff Kingsbury, but I felt bad for the middle linebacker because on that route, Samuel, Ayuk, McCaffrey, and Kittle were all running like crosses across the middle of the field. And that linebacker,
they flooded his zone.
That linebacker was like, what the fuck? And then George Kittle just kind of stopped and was like, there's nobody on me, throw me the ball. And he just kind of broke off the cross and went upfield. It was a really nice play. But I think that play's going to work against a lot of teams. This 49er team, this might be Kyle's chance, man. This might be the chance. I don't think you can count on Garoppolo to not turn the ball over in the postseason, but we'll see what happens when they get there.
Up next, we have the Philadelphia Eagles hosting the Green Bay Packers. This is a 6.5-point spread in favor of the Eagles. Over-under sits at 46.5. Minus 286 for the Eagles, plus 245 for Green Bay. Normally, I would like Green Bay coming off the long rest here, but Aaron Rodgers looked downright awful against Tennessee.
He did. The only team in the league maybe playing less enthusiastic football than the Cleveland Browns or the Green Bay Packers. And we know the Eagles know they got to keep winning. They know what's at stake. I think they really want that bye. They want that opportunity. So I think the Eagles will win this game by a touchdown at least.
The Eagles are dealing with a lot of injuries. Now, I think they're going to have to just slog through this bit of the schedule. It's kind of like they did last week against Indianapolis. That was just a nice win. You got a lot of guys out. You keep your record at 9-1. You don't lose back-to-back games. I think they do pretty much the same thing this week, but a little bit easier. Man, Jimmy, if they get all their guys back, and you get Sue and Jordan Davis on that defensive line, that's trouble, man. And that's probably the only way I see San Francisco going into a game where they're not favored.
The Ricky Waters Bowl?
The Ricky running waters.
Like I don't know. I mean that could be a hell of a football game if both teams are healthy.
Yeah, I hope we get to see it because I don't really want to see many of these other NFC teams in important games. I know, and I fucking know it. Fucking Nick Wright called this a month ago. Tampa Bay's turning their season around. They're going to rip off a bunch of wins, clinch the NFC South. They're going to be like the 3 or 4 seed, and then they're going to play the fucking Giants or somebody and beat them easily because it's Tom Brady against some fucking quarterback that he's better than. And then they're going to play like Philadelphia or Dallas, I guess, maybe, and then they're just going to fucking beat them. And then it's going to be Tom Brady against that San Francisco team, and it's just going to be, you're just going to be staring at that as a bettor going, well, I certainly can't bet on Jimmy Garoppolo against Tom Brady, but I don't feel comfortable betting on Tom Brady against Jimmy Garoppolo here.
Yeah, we're definitely going to have the Princess Bride situation there, bud.
Oh, my God. And the media would love that, man. If they got Brady and Garoppolo in a game together.
Oh yeah.
Oh, my God. Man. Guys like Simmons and Wilds would just cream their pants.
I cannot wait for the NFC and AFC playoffs, man. It's going to be great playoffs when we get there.
It will be great when we get there, but it looks like neither of these two teams that are playing on Monday night will get there. The Indianapolis Colts are hosting the Pittsburgh Steelers.
I don't want
to. The Colts are favored by 2.5. The over-under sits at 39, plus 120 for the Steelers, minus 140 for the Colts. I don't know how anybody can bet anything on this game unless you are like really a believer in Jeff Saturday. But for me, I'm not betting this. But once more under the breach, dear friends, as I pick against the Colts and Jeff Saturday, and I pick on Mike Tomlin and the Steelers, I really want Jeff Saturday to fail.
Yeah, well, if you lose to the offense that played in the second half of the Pittsburgh Steelers last week, I think you classify that as a failure already.
Yeah, Kenny Pickett looked really bad.
He looked okay in the first half, like okay-ish. Like I mean, it wasn't.
But he was missing simple over the middle throws. Just dirt.
I don't disagree with you, but yeah, I'm with you. I wouldn't bet on this for nothing, but I'll take the Steelers as well.
We brought it up a bunch this week, so this is going to be a tease to next week's podcast because we're going to be talking a little bit about Deshaun. Well, we'll be talking about Deshaun Watson coming back, but I think we also need to talk about what we touched on earlier, which is quarterback play and how many of the young quarterbacks from just the last couple of drafts have just turned out to not be good. Like, none of them seem to have... I mean, we look at Lamar and Josh Allen as probably the best of the last few years, and we even have questions about them. So we should dig into why that is, and we'll do that next week a little bit. How's that sound?
That sounds wonderful, because I got some thoughts.
Yeah. A lot of just a lot of bad quarterback play this year. So that's a wrap, man, for this week. Pretty good slate of games. Happy Thanksgiving out there to everybody. Jimmy, happy Thanksgiving to you and your family.
Thanksgiving to you and yours, Ev.
Absolutely. Thank you. And thank you for talking football tonight, man.
Hey, no place I'd rather be, brother.
And we want to thank all of you out there who are listening. We hope you have a happy Thanksgiving. Enjoy the weekend. Be safe. Eat lots of good food. Mix in some greens. You'll be eating plenty of carbs. Just mix in some greens. It'll be good for you. We'll be back next week with another edition of No Broken Legs.